he stood up on both feet and said, I love my cousin. Hey Damsels! Welcome to another episode of Damsels After Dark. If you're new here, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Kristen.
And in our little corner of the internet, we rant, obsess, love, hate, all things books.
Today we're going to be reviewing Madapple by Christina Meldrum.
And our episodes are broken up into kind of a basic review, and then we get into a spoiler section at the end of our favorite and hated parts. But we'll give you a warning before then.
If you'd like to follow along with us, our reading and review schedule will be linked in the description below.
Without further ado,
let's jump into it. So, I don't know about you guys, but I had put my books, my book goal on Goodreads. Mine is at 100 for this year. I haven't read 100 books in a long time, so that's pretty ambitious of me to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Did you do your goal yet?
I did. Mine is 50. I just sort of did like whatever we're scheduled to do,
yeah.
And then maybe added one or two because I do listen to them also, but I am 7 books ahead of schedule, I would just like to say.
That's pretty good. I did 50 last year, and I surpassed it. I ended up reading 65, so I thought, 35 more books I can fucking do.
That's a whole extra book a month.
I don't know,
well,
Crystal.
No, I'm sorry, we don't have 30 months in the year. That's a whole extra 2 books
a
every month.
Yes, I know. I'm, like I said, ambitious.
Yeah.
Ambitious. I think I could do it. It just depends on how into the books I'm getting, like how into the books I am. It's been a struggle the beginning of the year because I already started off with some shit books. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had Entwined, we had what was it, Godmother, we had which we're gonna do next episode, but I read this book, Projections. I absolutely fucking hate. So,
which is unfortunate because the cover is actually really cool.
It's beautiful.
The synopsis even sounds interesting.
Right? Mm-hmm. So for those of you who haven't read it, it's probably something, I don't know, if you're into very slow drama, poetic prose, I guess you'd like it. I absolutely hate that, so.
I kind of want to read it just to see, but also after reading 2 of Kristen's book that she said she didn't like, if you say it's bad, Kristen, it's bad. I don't need to know.
It is the worst book I have ever read.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Considering Uprooted.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's worse than that in my eyes.
Really?
Yes.
I don't want any part of this. I'm not even slightly curious anymore.
Oh, I absolutely hate it.
Ooh, horrible. Also, we should share there is some book news on the horizon too. Senlin Yu's Alchemized is now officially, there was a cover reveal. The deluxe edition is on Amazon right now, and I think it just released because I actually saw Goodreads posted on Instagram the cover reveal and all of that. I did yesterday after we pre-ordered and freaked out about it.
We were talking about it because I was like, I don't even remember. This must have just happened. I don't remember seeing it anywhere. Yeah, and then when I was driving home, I think it was, I don't know, a few days ago, or yesterday actually, I think it was, I saw something, I think I was looking at something as I was about to drive home, and I saw like a little thing for the author. It must have been Goodreads. It's either Goodreads or Facebook. I think it might have been Facebook. Oh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on Facebook because I follow her on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was like, yep, see? Crystal was right. She got it just in time.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a whole total accident.
Yeah.
I was buying other books and I saw it down. I was like, everybody stop what they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
I think this is Alchemized. I've not seen this cover yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, for accidentally stumbling at the front of the line over here.
Yeah. And I want to say it's like $30-something right now.
Yeah.
For pre-order on Amazon.
And interesting enough, it is like 200 pages, I think less.
Yeah.
Than what the original one
I wonder if they took the, all the, because there was epilogues, like a bunch of stuff in the epilogue. I wonder if they took some stuff out. I know I have, in one of my books, I have deleted scenes. That's probably removed.
Interesting. So, I don't know. I am interested to read it, of course, as everyone is. We will be reading it because it comes out officially on the 30th of September. So we'll be covering it on, I think, the 10th of October.
Yeah. Give us
time to read. It'll be fun to do.
I'm super excited about reading this.
Compare and contrast. The synopsis obviously sounds the exact same.
Just different names, different cities. Obviously, it's gonna be a 5. So, like, do we even have to say the rating?
I know, right? Just Insta 5.
It's going to be, I guarantee that episode's just going to be in comparison.
Yes. I am curious, though, because obviously Manacled was where I fell in love with Draco. So now I'm just thinking, like, oh no, am I going to have to put...
You know it's still Draco.
Yeah, it is still Draco, but like this guy's got a different name now. Now I have to officially say like he's gonna be on my list.
Yeah, and
I got 2 Dracos on my list.
And the fan art, like what's the fan art? Because there's supposed to be end papers. I think it's supposed to be character art. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look and see what the book description says.
No, I think you're right. It
but
was
I think
end papers.
There was. Yeah,
I saw it this morning, and also it's by the same artist.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't say the name. Evidelli? I don't know. The original artist who did the work for A Manacled also did artwork for the official book that's coming out. I'm excited. Me too. So, come and follow us in October. We will be reviewing that. We will also be recording it, but we'll be reviewing.
Not like last episode where we recorded it for ourselves.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It culminated in a really short, sweet episode, though, I thought.
It did. I don't want to do that again.
No, I don't. I'm praying, because we don't even know what happened. The mic said it was working, and so I don't know. It's just a hit or miss over here, but it wouldn't be our episode if we weren't swimming in issues.
Yeah, tons of them.
So anyways... Kristen, I'm so excited to talk about this book with you because I saw your rating.
Yes. Oh my God.
Which is totally understandable because this book is outrageous.
It is fucking crazy. And it's not my typical read, too.
It's not your typical read. It's not fantasy. It's none of that. So originally it's on my Goodreads from 2013 as a 4. So I'm just going to say that's where I started at. I did not remember anything about this book when I was reading it. So imagine my shock as I'm reading this. Like, what the fuck was I reading?
Well, I'm glad because I was like, why the fuck is Crystal liking and reading this? Like, this is some crazy shit.
It was a crazy shit. And there was moments where after the book, so immediately my initial reaction was like, what the fuck is this? What did I read? And I was like pacing around. It was one of those books where I'm pacing around the house trying to think about what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this book stayed with me so much because
it was like one of those weird, crazy
books. It's a crazy book that sticks with you. And I can remember I don't know why. I didn't know if I loved it really or hated it. I think because I remembered it, I was like, I must love this book. But so anyways, yes, it's a wild ride. Again, it's Madapple, which I see when I was reading things about this author that this was actually an award-winning book. But I couldn't figure out what award this book won. And it doesn't even show on the cover or anything. I tried Googling all over the place. So just so you know, apparently it's won some awards.
A long time ago.
Also, NPR interviewed her about this book and about this character.
And I can understand why.
Yes.
And I can understand why, and we'll get into it more later down the road. But, like, I can completely understand why. Because the subject it touches, or even, not want to say touch, actually gets into, is a pretty intense and actually real-world situations, real-world issues. I mean, maybe not everywhere, but, like, it happens.
Yeah.
It's maybe it's under the radar type of thing that happens. Apparently, like, sometimes you'll hear it in the news every now and then, and you'll be like, "Well, those people are crazy," you know. But it does happen. So,
well, I guess we could just jump into the summary now. Yeah. Essentially, this story follows a girl named Aslog.
I hate that fucking name.
Yeah, it's not a great name.
It actually is Aslog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aslog, and she has grown up sort of remotely in this. I just imagine it's like some witch's hovel, some witch's shack on the edge of town. There's no electricity. Her mom has chosen a life very much distant and outside of everyday modern conveniences. So they're out hunting for their food and their medicines too. So
which is crazy because this is modern world.
It is modern world.
This is what it seems like they're living back in the day.
Yes.
So it's like,
and they're and so Aslong has been so isolated in her life that she hasn't really met any other kids her age. She hasn't met boys her own age. But her mom has at least done one thing right, which is consistently keep her educated. So she's actually well educated in science and some religions and a lot of random things. So that's I thought that was kind of cool. But essentially her mom, I don't really think it's a big spoiler, but her mom dies. And so then she's stuck having to go out into the real world and traverse this foreign land that she has no idea anything about, essentially.
Yeah.
And she meets up with people in this real world, and then you sort of follow her along as she, I mean, it's family. So she meets her family in this real world, and a lot of crazy shit happens after that.
Oh my God, crazy.
And I don't think that I could say much
And I want to
more.
emphasize, family. It's family. It's a family she goes to.
She does go to her family, yeah.
She goes to her family, who
And-
are no less I would say probably crazier, maybe, I don't know, depending on what you envision as crazy.
Yeah.
And odd, and yeah, so like she goes to her family, which, you know, she would think is would receive her or love her, or I don't know, something, but it's she's comparing it to her life with her mom, and how her way with her mom is, and she questions why she never met these people before. She questions why her mom did the things she did, questions why her mom and her family never really didn't stay together. Like, she's questioning everything. Not just she going through this situation with, you know, the real world, which she's never really had any contact with, and also her family she's never had contact with, along with a time jump to the future.
Or present.
Yeah, present, of what is happening with her in a court case.
Yes, and the court case is just a transcription. It's literally an attorney and the witness and their banter, and that's it. And it's goes back every other chapter.
Yeah.
And she's being accused of something. And obviously, while she's with her family, she's discovering things about her mom, about her family, and then an event happens to her, and then that sort of is the lead for the rest of the story.
So I'd like to add trigger warnings to this, just because I feel like I didn't get trigger warnings, Crystal.
Sorry, I didn't know what it was about.
So trigger warnings. I'm gonna throw in there's abuse. I don't want to say abuse of a corpse, but I guess
Well, there's child abuse.
there's abuse, just regular abuse, and then there's I would guess something with the corpse. There's a corpse.
Yeah, I don't know there was abuse of a corpse.
I wouldn't say abuse, but I would guess it would. What do they usually call it in the court of law? Like handling of a corpse.
Yeah.
Handling of a corpse.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't say it's abuse because it's not.
A corpse is there.
A corpse is there.
It's talked about and it's moved
Yes.
around.
Therefore, death is there.
Yes.
And incest is there. I want to throw that out there. Okay. There's. I guess that's practically it.
Yeah, maybe drug use, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's maybe. I mean, they are using a drug, but it is like, it's a fucking plant. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, call it what you will.
Yeah.
It's there.
But yeah, there's arson. Like, I don't know. Like, pick your poison here. Literally, pick your fucking poison. But yeah, trigger warnings. For, I mean, I guess this is young adult, but I would not suggest like a 14-year-old to read this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. Now, unless your 14-year-old is already worldly, maybe. Like,
I think that's about the time I was reading this, 14, 15.
Like, I don't know.
But I was also reading, like I said, Fear Street. So those are kind of like gory. Those are kind of, there's horror in that. So if you're not accustomed to this type of like, it's an interesting read. It's like, it's a dark tragedy of a story.
I wouldn't say read this if you're not into already dark storytelling. Yeah. If you're a young adult who's already dabbling in it, then whatever. This would probably be nothing.
Yeah.
But the fact that I don't think you should start as a young adult reading this book.
No. This is for
the
like you said, the well-adjusted. Somebody who's already in this kind of world. This is not a traditional POV either. Like, no. She's not like the savior who's fighting crime or or even really, I mean, I guess it's kind of a coming-of-age tale in a way. But she's...
Very long stretch.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to think, like, she's so isolated that she's so susceptible to manipulation. Yeah. And so you're in her POV, so you're a part of her manipulation. And so, again, not a traditional POV if you're into that sort of thing. But I guess we can jump into our ratings. And Kristen?
Yes. You want me to go first?
I'm excited.
Okay. Well, I just want to throw it out there that I don't hate the book entirely. The rating I'm giving it is because I'm in shock. Okay? I'm in shock, and I don't like what I read, but it's done well. It was written really well. So, like, I was torn, because I was torn between giving it a 3 and giving it a 2. And at the end of the day, I gave it a 2, because I hated what I read. This is by no means what, and maybe that's what the author's probably like, great, I did my job, you know? And maybe everybody who listens to what I had to say about the book, who enjoys the book, is probably like, exactly. But, like, to be fair, I'm one of those people on Goodreads that says, I can't argue her points, but I still don't like her rating. So I given it a 2 because I don't like the story, as I was disgusted by it. And obviously that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So I hate that I'm rating it a 2, but I feel like I can't rate it a 5. I feel like I can't rate it a 4 or a 3 because I hate it. I hate it. In fact, I almost wanted to give it a 1, but I didn't think that was fair because ultimately the story was done really well. So that, to be fair, story was done well. I just hate what the story's about. And I can't say it anymore without giving spoilers, so I'll try to give a little examples. It was so culty. It was so culty. It made me sick to my stomach. The fanatic beliefs in it was very strong. It angered me at the same time. So I guess I'm feeling all the right emotions for a 5-star book, you know? Like, but I'm not, I can't. Obviously it's not my typical read. It's not a fantasy for me. It's definitely real world situations that really do happen. Obviously this is an exaggerated type case because it's fiction, but it does happen. Things like this do happen. And what I mean by things like this happen, I'm meaning culty religious behavior that are to the extreme. Yeah. And behaviors that go along with it, like incest, abuse, neglect, stuff like that, and death. Like, so because of that, I was just sitting there wanting to throw up. I was like, this is disgusting. I felt like the little twists here and there would also brought it down to a 2 for me. Were very obvious. Like, I know there was a lot of times where they were trying to make it seem like, oh, who did this? Who did that? I kind of figured it out pretty easy. I don't know if it's because that's why it's a young adult. It's not too hard to read or too complicated to get into. But I felt like it was just too obvious for me. I figured it out pretty early on, everything that was going on. So therefore, it was an easy book to follow. So you got its pros and cons with that. There was an overabundant amount of herbalism. Okay. Just like how you felt with Entwined with the fucking dancing. I couldn't stand the herbalism talk. I really seriously just went over it. I was just like, oh, more herbalism talk. And I just like went to the next part. I just like skimmed through it. Did it bother me throughout the reading? Not as much. Not as much as you hated the dancing and Entwined, but I still felt like, oh my god, not again. Now, does it go with the book? It goes perfectly well with the book. It's meant to happen to be that way because you are going through a court case that involves herbalism stuff, so you kind of have to know. But I felt like it was a little bit, tad bit overdone, so it set me back a little bit with just like, oh, okay. Get back to this part where it's disgusting, I guess. So I was jumping between, do I want to listen to more herbalism talk or do I want to listen to this? And I'm just like, I can't. Can we get to the court case? I was super interested in the court case. Yeah. That's where it gives me that 2. It gives me that solid 2 because of the court case. Yeah. Everything in the present I was super interested in. But to be fair, you couldn't be interested in with the present of the court case without hearing about the past. So because of the court case, it actually got me interested in the past. But then I was reading the past, I'm like, I'm not interested in this anymore. Stop. So I had that, and that's why I gave it a solid 2.
That's fair. It's fair. It's a interesting book. I, on the other hand, fucking love this book. Like, I gave it a 3.5. And which is not far off of what I originally gave it. Yeah. Initially, I think I was at it too. But when I was walking around my house trying to process what the fuck I just read.
Heavily processed.
Yeah, I was like getting into some things and I was thinking about things in my head. And I'm like, you know what? Why do I love this book? Like, also, I'll save that point of view. But yeah, essentially, I do like this book for mainly the amount of religious analysis that goes on in this book is not something that you would expect from a young adult book. Yeah. Also, I was really heavily into sort of religion and things like that when I was younger, so it makes sense why I loved this book, because I don't want to give too much of away, but if you don't already know some of the themes that are going on in this book as far as the religions, then I think that it provokes people to think about maybe your own concepts of God and religion. Yeah. And so I really like that because that's not a typical thing that you would find in a young adult book. I also, contrary to you, I fucking love the herbalism. I loved every time, because she did it, the way that she did it was really good. She opened up every chapter with a tale about a specific plant, and whatever characteristic that plant had was the theme of that chapter, or was the theme of a person within that chapter. And so it made sense that Aslong was constantly referring back to plants and viewing people through the lens of herbalism, because that's all she knew. So every time she was reflecting on people's behavior or a pattern in her life, it was always talking about a specific plant that matched that. And I really, really liked that. It was so well done. Also, I came to find out that the author didn't know anything about herbalism. This was all Googled and researched while she was writing this, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she did a great job in that case then.
Yeah. I also loved like the darkness of it. Ashlong is super isolated and therefore is easily manipulatable, and so to be in her POV while she's being manipulated was super interesting, because this isn't a traditional POV, and so because of that I really liked it. I liked seeing something a little bit different than the typical 17-year-old head of the fucking warrior clan. Like it was refreshing. Also, I don't know if I should say this point, but I'm going to say this point. It seemed to me like the author had kind of a bone to pick with a specific religion in this book. She created a character that was sort of the embodiment of that religion and had that character doing some fucked up things.
Yeah.
And I really kind of liked this sort of call out to the hypocrisy within many religions, but specifically this one religion, because that was the character she created for it. So I kind of liked this little like dig at that. Because I'm kind of cynical about religion in general, and so I liked this sort of pulling apart and analyzing of it. So all of that, and also, okay, I'm gonna say this, Kristen, you're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna say this.
Oh, no.
There's
Don't
a little bit of a romance in it.
I knew it. I had a feeling. We're gonna definitely have to talk about this, and we're gonna have to talk about this in the spoilers. I fucking knew it. I was like, Crystal's boundaries have stretched. Oh, yeah. It's like a rubber band. Yep. I'm like,
I might be a little deprived at the moment, but there was some moments where I was like, you know what? I'm like that meme. What murder? What incest? I don't know what we're talking about. What incest?
I fucking knew it.
But I'm gonna preface this though by saying I've been well trained in ignoring incest because I'm a huge House of Dragon fan, so I'm all for the uncle niece relationship that's going on there. I'm a Daemon and Rhaenyra shipper forever. So you know what? This is just
par for the course.
This was just par for the course. I'm well trained in this. I was like, so what?
Okay,
it's fine.
I'm gonna go. I'll stick in my reverse harems, okay, and you can just go along this boat.
Listen, I don't want to be here.
I'm going in the other fucking direction, okay.
I don't want to be in the incest boat, okay, but I'm okay to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna pretend that's not. I'm just gonna ignore it. Listen, if you can ignore half of a book, I'm gonna go ahead and ignore some incest.
Hey, listen. We listen. We don't judge.
But we'll delve deeper into this when I.
Yes, you're like I feel like it's not fair to Crystal until you actually get to the spoilers. You have to understand. I mean, I was even sensing it. I was like, I had to like slowly veer myself back because I'm like, no. So like, I get it. But I don't want to be in that boat, so like I'm purposely like trying to roll myself away as quick as possible.
I'm like, oh, that was kind of cute.
I think I know what part you're talking about. So
there's a couple. Don't worry, they're my best parts. So
I was like, I can't even do this. I'm gonna just have to say, if that wasn't her. Like, if it wasn't somebody she was related to, I can see how this is romantic. But you're totally fucking related, okay?
Listen, it's been a long time since I've read a good romance. Okay, the last one was Slade, and I already read about that. So I'm in a depraved state, but I'm willing to accept almost anything.
It's a good thing I like in between read while we're reading these books, because I would be so deprived too. Because like I read those reverse harems not that long ago, so.
See, Kristen, I wonder if you didn't have that stockpile.
That's what I wondered too, because I said, I was even like, I like dipped it in. I'm like, nope, that water's bad. So so bad water. I think it's poisonous.
Oh, that's
it's like
amazing.
acidic my toe.
I was like, ooh, I kind of like the tingling here. Anyways.
It's warm in this pool.
Yeah, it's warm. I've never felt this before. This is kind of crazy.
It gives me electric chills down my spine.
Oh, so bad. This author, if she ever sees this, she's gonna be like, "That was not the intention."
It was though. I'm sorry.
It was. Yo.
You want to act like it wasn't? It wasn't. It was.
For real. Don't like. I read what you wrote.
You put pen to paper and you made us feel that.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So you're guilty.
Not my fault. Not my fault, man. All right, and then as always, I will do the Goodreads, which was a 3 point. Sorry, I have it over here. Let me just. It's a 3.4 out of 2,800 ratings, which that's not a lot of people who read this book.
Yeah, and that's like pretty close to your rating. It's like a little lower, and it's just higher than mine, but
that means people gave this book a 5, which is
somewhere down the road.
I'm not even gonna hate because I think it's a good kind of thought-provoking book. So
I'm not even mad at those people who would, and I would assume that. I can't even assume. I'm just going to say it. I feel like they're probably in a boat where they're just like, oh, it can happen. I probably would have. I don't fucking know. But it also is very thought-provoking. It does have touch on a lot of issues that I can understand. I could see how this book is one of those books that you would read to be like, interesting. This is pretty good. This is not that bad. Like, so I get how people would give it a 5. I also feel like, obviously, because I gave it a 2. I feel like there's definitely a wide berth of people who are going to give it those opposite ratings for the same reason.
Yeah.
For the same reason.
For the same reason.
Yeah.
Because either you're taking away from this, oh, this was thought-provoking, let me think about it, or you're just like, what the fuck is this? This book is horrible.
And it was both for me.
It
was both. That's why I should have gave it probably a 2.5. But I just fucking got it. I just fucking got it. I couldn't rate any more than 2. I feel guilty about it though. Let's be honest. I do. Yeah. I feel guilty because I don't feel like that's fair to the book, but like it's fair to me.
Yeah, that's all that.
It's fair to my insides. I gotta redeem myself for the thoughts that I was thinking.
Kristen, just embrace.
No, I can't. I didn't like it. I honestly didn't like it, but I could see how it would, because it almost got me. It almost turned that dial. It almost got me. I was like, no, you're not gonna get me. 2.
We'll work on it. We'll work on converting her to some shit next month. Stay tuned.
Yeah, no, thank you.
But anyway, so that's our review. I mean, Goodreads was kind of right between us, so that's kind of we're on par. But anyways, so we can jump into our spoilers. My favorite part.
Oh,
can't
God,
wait.
It's gonna be insane. Just so you guys know, we actually didn't talk about this book too much with each other.
No.
So like this is gonna be intense.
And I really tried not to read your notes. I
didn't read your notes either.
Cool. I really wanted to discuss. This was one of those.
I felt like this. Yeah, I felt like I couldn't do that. I had to be honest with myself because like I want to be able to hear what you had to say. And I wanted you to hear what I had to say. So it was one of those things. I was super excited, but okay, I don't have any best parts of this book. I'm just gonna start off with that.
That's fair.
Because I have like more things to discuss and I have more hated parts, but I didn't have anything where I was just like, oh my God, I love this part of this book. I had some parts where I was like, oh, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. So more of a discussion point, but no best parts. I do have a lot of hated parts, but I feel like, should I just get into the hated parts or do you want to discuss your best parts? Okay.
My best part, I can just do my best parts.
Yeah, your parts better.
In my notes, I literally wrote, I'm sorry, but I love all the parts with room flirting. Sorry, I'm not sorry. And then I bullet pointed them when he's drawing her at the table, when he jokes that she's his toy.
I hate that part. Oh my God, I hate that part.
It was so cute.
I hate that part. It so grossed me out.
There's another one. Okay, when he tries to get her to run away with him, like he's like counting. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, run away with me. I fucking loved it. When he shows up at the trial at the very end and he goes to bat for her, he stood up on both feet and said, I love my cousin. I loved her and that's my baby. He didn't flinch. He stood up in a crowd, a courtroom full of people, and he wore that shit. He owned his shit. I was like, damn.
But to be fair though, he always wanted to own it.
Yeah, he did.
There was nothing about it where he felt ashamed of. So, I mean, I get it. I give him credit for
it. Also, just this man, he's a boy, whatever.
Yeah, he is a boy.
he was so fucking funny in the beginning because there's a point where they're like, they could be step siblings. And she's trying to figure it out, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. Like,
who cares about your dad?
Don't box yourself in." Like, he was trying so hard to get into immediately, mind you. Yeah. She comes in, and he's like, "That's my girl." And the whole time,
didn't care who she was.
No, I don't give a who's your dad. I don't fucking care. Let's go.
Also, like, he's already fucking around with other people.
Well, and
he wants his cousin. Like, guy, you are fucking around with other people. Like, why are you so bent over backwards for your cousin?
It's so romantic.
You haven't
take that girl away. Take that fucking tutor away.
It's not like he's fucking anybody else. He can possibly. It doesn't matter. And he's got babies coming out of everybody. Like, why are you so infatuated with your cousin? That's what disgusted me.
But it's no. I get it. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not generally into incest. Okay, but again, it's the theme of, like, in love with your woman unapologetically, doesn't give a shit, gonna keep going for her. Like, if that's your cousin, then, well, it's still romantic. Like, he was still there, claiming it the entire time.
See, I love all the actions about this. Everything about it, I love the action, but it could have been her brother. It could have been, it definitely is her nephew.
Yeah, it's weird too because
you don't find that out till later though.
And like, she's definitely fully her cousin. Half of him.
Yeah, like, doesn't half matter of what direction you go into.
Yes.
Yeah, she's related to him by two. Like, she definitely they already knew they were cousins.
Yes,
they already knew they were cousins. Now he just didn't know if that was his sister cousin or if it was his niece or his aunt cousin.
And it's his aunt cousin.
It is his aunt cousin.
She's fully his blood.
Yeah. Doesn't fucking matter.
No. I mean, yeah, I'm just willfully ignoring all of that. Not like lot like him.
Yeah, if you doing
it doesn't fucking matter. It's fine.
If you ignore all of that, it is super sweet.
Yeah.
So that was where the struggle I was having internally, because I would be reading it, I would completely forget, oh, that's his aunt, that's his cousin, that's his sister. I would forget, and then I would be like, oh, no. And I would be super disgusted, and that's what took away the romance for me. Now it was no more, it wasn't romance anymore. Now it was, like, obviously, like, illness. Like, you guys, there's something wrong with you guys. So, like, it became...
No, it's okay. It's okay. He was the most clear-headed of everybody in this fucking book, to be honest.
I even wrote that in here. I wrote there's something seriously wrong with these people when at one point the voice of reason is the person fucking his cousin. I put that in my notes.
Excuse, to be fair, he fucked her one time. The rest of it was just him loving her,
but
okay?
You know he wanted to do way more. That's the problem.
But then I feel so bad for him because then he was kind of thrown for a whirlwind at the end. Because there were times where I was like, because I already really liked him, regardless of all of this, right? But then when she's locked up, I'm like, where is he? Why isn't you coming to save him? But then you have to kind of think about his position, that he's been accused of rape for this girl that he loves, but still, even at the fucking end, again, stand on 2 feet. I love her. So I'm here for it.
And this is reciprocated. Like, they love each other.
Yes.
And that's what pissed me off too. Okay. I'm not into their whole relationship as a whole at all. But then when she claimed that he raped her, I was very mad.
But see, I could understand it because she didn't get it,
She thought he poisoned her.
Yes, because he was the one that was,
or not poisoned her, drugged her.
Yeah, and she remembers having an encounter with her, but she didn't know that.
No, she didn't. But also in that encounter, she thought was a dreamlike state. Okay, first of all, I already knew. That surprise, that's a so-called surprise, wasn't a surprise to me because she even said it feels like human. The sheets feel like human. And I was like, her cousin's in there. And then they had she went and talked about this whole dream right after that.
Yeah. And
she kept saying yes to him doing stuff to her. Like, they were doing stuff to each other, and then as things were about to progress, she said yes. Mm-hmm. So... Okay, I'm not saying that being drugged and saying yes is consent. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is she wanted it entirely. Even before she wrote it down in a journal.
Because she wanted
to
remember it.
She wanted to do it again. She couldn't wait to see him again. Even if, let's say, she wasn't pregnant and she found out that's what happened, I don't think she would have been upset. in my opinion, I think she would have wanted it to happen again.
And I mean, to be fair, she even said she didn't necessarily mean to say it out loud and to be accusatory. She was sort of thinking about it and then said it out loud.
Yeah, and her cousin was there.
Yeah, or her aunt was there.
Her aunt was there.
And then it just kind of spiraled out of her control because she was really quick to forgive when he came in and was like, why the fuck did you say this? And she's like, well, didn't you? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay, well.
And when she said that, she said no. She took it as, well, we didn't even have sex at all.
Yes.
He's saying, no, I didn't rape you.
Yeah.
And I could see both points of view on that because he didn't know she was drugged.
Yes.
So he's hearing consent.
Mm-hmm.
That makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. She didn't know she was drugged either. She thought she was sleeping.
Yes.
The person who ended up drugging her is her other cousin, the female cousin, who is fucking psycho.
Oh my god, I hate her. Yeah.
I absolutely
And she just did it for
her.
fun.
Yeah.
She was like, no, we'll just have fun.
What is her problem?
I don't know
what is
her
fucking deal?
That's a good fucking question.
She
was crazy.
My whole world, like, of hate for this book involves her mom, like the cousin female, I forget her name. The female cousin.
Suzanne.
Yeah, Suze. Her, the mom, and the aunt. That's where my hatred goes into.
Yeah, I don't like her mom. Like, obviously her mom is abusive. Her mom does things that are absolutely horrible. But when you understand her mom's frame of mind, that she is also a victim of abuse and the abuse of her father, you can kind of understand a little bit her headspace, even though it's not an excuse. But I just don't hate her as much as I hate the other two.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely the third on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the other two more. I would even say I hate the cousin more than I hate the aunt.
Yes, I hate the aunt, I hate the cousin, and then I hate Rebecca. Because
fuck
what
her.
the fuck is going on with that bitch?
I even forgot about her. Fuck her. That's the tutor. The tutor who was in love with Rune.
With Rune. Yeah.
And I can get why she is in love with Rune. I just can't understand why Rune's in love with his cousin. And I don't understand why Rebecca... Okay, I understand why Rebecca loves Rune, but the minute she found out about Rune's infatuation with his cousin, she should have fucking jumped shit.
Yeah.
She should have got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, you're crazy. Why are you doing all this shit to be with him? He obviously wants to be with his cousin.
Yeah.
Like, you're fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate her.
I agree. I don't know what the fuck she was doing around there. She was so infatuated with him while he left. Girl, he left you for his cousin.
Yeah,
just go.
Get a fucking clue.
Start a new life.
Have some self-awareness and self-respect.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking disgusting. In fact, what they did was run away with their child.
Yeah.
She took Rune, and Rune took the baby and then left. Yeah. And then Rebecca's playing it like it's hers, this bitch.
All the way to trial? Why? Rebecca goes all the way to the trial just to do that.
Yeah, and then she's nursing this child, claiming it as hers, making Aslog think that, like, that's not her kid this whole time. She never, like, but then Aslog's like, no, I had a baby. Like, she was adamant that she had a baby, and really knew that it was her baby, but they were trying to gaslight her this whole time. Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
And then even telling her while she was pregnant, like, you're just the vessel, essentially. Like, that's the prophet, and we're going to raise it as a prophet and all of that. All that was crazy. It was crazy, but it was also interesting. And even though it's pretty obvious that it's Rune's kid, I still felt like I wasn't absolutely certain. Like, it's like they had me manipulated as well into thinking that it was going to be virgin, because it could have been. Like, this is a work of fiction. So at any point, if the author wanted to make that statement in this book that, that is the virgin birth, she could have done it, and I would have been, like, the message she wanted to portray into this book. So I was never 100% certain that was his kid.
Yeah, because they did, Aslog's mom was supposedly ate a butterfly and got pregnant, and no one knew who the father was, and we ended up finding out that it was the dad, which I kind of they gave hints about that throughout the book. So they made it the whole time believe that it was immaculate conception with Aslog. So Aslog is supposed to be this the savior. Yeah. And then so her cousin really believes that Aslog is the savior, supposedly to give a birth of another savior. Yeah. So, and the cousin is just so fucking infatuated with this idea and just obsessed with it.
And also because the alternative at that point is that Rune raped her. Like, those are the alternatives. Either this is a virgin birth or Rune raped her. And of course, nobody wants to believe that Rune raped Aslog. Yeah. So they're accepting that she's giving birth.
The only one who's really believing it is her aunt. her aunt, but her aunt doesn't want to believe it's rape though.
Yes.
Her aunt kind of knows that they had some kind of intimacy together, but she doesn't want to believe it's rape. But then once Aslak says it's rape, then the aunt is like, it's rape.
Yeah.
Because she knows that that's Rune's kid. She knows it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to deny. But so the only other option is like, well, if it wasn't consensual, then he raped her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to believe it. Which, if I were the aunt, I would already assume the same thing. Yeah, they had sex, but I don't think I would have assumed it was rape.
No.
Because you could clearly see them two like each other. And she wasn't even sure if Rune and her had sex.
Yeah.
She wasn't sure, but then like, then it came through that, he drugged me.
Yeah.
Then she's like, then yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And also, I think as the mom or the aunt or whatever progressed into alcohol and all of that, she then also became susceptible to believing that this was a virgin birth. Like, just wanting to accept that as the solution. Yeah. Or the answer to what the fuck was going on.
It was insane. It was wild.
It was crazy.
It was wild.
And I also like... what I don't like is that it took Rune, 2 years to come to Aslog and be like, hey, we need to run away from here. I like that he attempted to, but then she replied with some nonsense because she, at that point, believed that was a virgin birth. And he was like, you don't need to pretend anymore. Or I know why you're pretending to save yourself and their daughter. But, let's run away because this isn't a place. They're taking her from you. They're going to raise her as a prophet. We need to go. And she's like, what do you mean? That she is the virgin, or I was a virgin, and this is what happened. And he's like, I think he took that as she's way too far gone. Yeah. She is a part of this cult now, so I'm just gonna take Rebecca, I guess.
Yeah, and he didn't know she was drugged. He didn't know.
No, not all. I probably not until the very end, even though they don't really close that loop.
And then he realized, I love my cousin. Because now he was listening to the whole court case.
And he was even saying, when he was testifying, I couldn't understand why she kept saying this was a virgin birth. Yeah. We had sex, and I don't know why she's saying it.
And she realized right then and there that, because it wasn't until that point, too, that she realized that that they really did
have sex.
Yeah. It took that long.
That's crazy.
It was insane.
It's like, why weren't you, when you were already there asking her, why did you say it was rape, and you had that conversation, it's just because she said, I love you, that he freaked out. And he ran out instead of actually sitting there and having a conversation.
Yeah, that was weird to me, too, because he loves her, too. So, I don't know.
But I also get his point of view. You told everybody I raped you, and now you're telling me you love me? You're crazy. And that's what he said. You're crazy. And then he ran. So, I feel the most bad for him. Yeah. Because he was just sort of cast in this, I don't know, to be in love with somebody and then accused of rape, and you're moping around your house, and then that's your fucking baby. Yeah. Because he knows it when she gets sick and she says, I'm nauseous, and he freaks out and runs out of the room. It's at that point you're like, oh, they must have fucked.
And that's the thing too. It's he like I said, he's the voice of reason throughout this whole book. So yeah, it's hard to hate him entirely, or hate him or dislike him for loving his cousin, because I don't like any of that. But he was actually, besides being somebody who just wants to fuck around, he actually really wanted to be with her. He really wanted to claim her. He really wanted to save her and get her out of there. And also, he's young. Yeah. He's 16, 17. Yeah. So, neither one of them have any kind of healthy concept of what a relationship is, sex. None of that. They were raised in a cult-like behavior. So, you can't really fault them for not understanding, especially when incest was already a thing. The aunt knew that, was trying to figure out who Aslog's father was the whole time. And when she found out, then they knew that was the reasoning, and that incest was a thing. So, it's not uncommon for them. So if you grow up in an environment where incest is a fucking common thing, it's not taboo anymore. So you can't really hate on somebody who's really into this whole family thing.
To be fair, it is taboo. Okay, even to me who likes Rune,
it is taboo.
It's taboo.
But in this environment, in this book for Rune,
yes,
it's not taboo to him. So how can you hate on a character who doesn't believe this is taboo and never seen her? This is he hasn't seen her since they were children. Yeah, and he believed there was a connection. He mistaken a familiar connection with a relationship connection. Yeah, and he's even told people Aslog was viewed to me as a god, a savior, not somebody related to me. Yeah. So that's hard for him to understand, and I'm defending him.
And also,
and I don't even like this.
And also her too, because she's never been around another guy. She's never had these feelings. So her having to analyze the feelings that she has it's hard for her to separate those as well.
And then Rune's coming at her strong. Look at my bedroom with all my pictures
with
of you.
all the pictures I
like, yeah, I'm in love with you. Even like an average dude were to do that to me, I would be like, dude, you're a psycho. But this is cute.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
Like, where's my altar?
That's also how she felt, because she was like, this is kind of crazy, but also like, look at how he's seeing me. He's seeing me in a way nobody else has ever seen me, and like, it's everywhere, and I love it. And
yeah,
I thought that you were just writing, but you were actually trying.
Like I said, that rubber band, that's a boundaries. Our boundaries are rubber bands.
Yes, they really are. When it comes to books, like, I could ignore a lot and forgive a lot. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So like, I don't fault Rune for this. In fact, I don't want to say I like him as a like a person, but I think his character is definitely well written, and it makes a lot of sense why he's taking the steps he does, and why his infatuation with his cousin is as bad as it is. It's because everybody else around him had talked highly of Aslog, even when she wasn't around.
Yeah.
As a savior, as a god, not somebody
as a
related
myth.
to. And he says that. So like repeatedly. It's hard to fault him for any of that, and he's young. So it's hard to fault him for any of that.
Yeah.
Now, Aslog, you can't fault her for any of it either. Like, you just really can't, but I get it. That's why I said you can't. In the beginning when we were discussing this, and it wasn't in the spoilers, like you can't fault Crystal for liking that. And so like that's why I said I knew it. I knew she was gonna have this thing about it, and I knew it because like if I didn't feel like as strongly as I do about like trying to take my mind away from that, I feel like I would be dipping my toes in it too. Because it like everything around it without the incest, you take the incest completely out.
Yeah.
It's very romantic.
Yes.
So I could see that. But you put that incest, you tie it on really tight in a big ass bow. I can't untie that. I can't untie that present. I'm sorry. I can't.
What does it matter? Don't box yourself in.
Exactly. Unboxing it in a nice tightly present bow and all. Like,
no. Like I said, I feel like I've been pre-warmed up to accept.
Also,
incest.
this is your second time reading this, even though you said you didn't. You kind of don't remember, but you're still like.
Yeah, I wonder.
You're already exposed to this.
Yeah, I wonder if younger me did like this, like for that reason. Like I don't even remember. I didn't even know. I was. Maybe that's why I was swept off my feet. I didn't know what was coming.
You were like young and impressionable too.
Yeah. So I probably did like it back then, but I was like, yeah, whoa, what?
You're older now. You're just like, those are a little taboo, but
yeah, but like, House of Dragons said it's okay, so I'm gonna just pretend that it's not, and we're just gonna keep moving on. And then he just kept coming in hard, and it's so funny because he has such technically like small parts of this book. He just kind of comes in and out, but each of those parts was like, boop, boop. It's like, yep, you nailed my coffin. I'm fine. It's fine. But whatever. So. I could possibly be just a little deprived, and that's okay. I'm willing to accept that as well. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. The barrel or the bar is low apparently at this moment. It's been a while, and even the next book is also not a romance.
Yeah, I tried telling you.
So what's a girl to do? Okay.
I know. To be fair though, we put these books together back to back, and I think they're great to put as reviewing together.
I do too.
Because they are both like, fucking what?
Yeah, yes. So they both have the same reactions for sure.
So they're good books to put together.
But did you have any other
things to discuss? I don't think so. I want to say, where did I put it? Just the religious cult thing. I think that was a really good thing to add into this story. I felt like it's not really discussed a lot, like you were saying before, that it's not something that you see in young adult very often. The little things where they talk about, this religion is something that we practice, and this is what we love, and this is what we know, and then comparing it to other religions, which I don't understand, because the cousin was very definitely into this type of religion, but then she was comparing Christianity with like Jesus with other religions, which I thought was intriguing, and I kind of did like a little research as I was reading it, because I'm like, I already knew some of these points that a lot of religions and Christianity sound very similar, like the way of Jesus's birth, and like who Jesus is as a person and what he did, and in comparison to like other religions, Greek, Greek mythology and stuff like that. They compared. She did a lot of that, and I felt like that was really cool. But there was a lot of things in it that were inaccurate. But it was also, I mean, this is a work of fiction where they're religious fanatics, so not all of it is based on theological, actual religious beliefs. It's more like esoteric beliefs that go down past in the family, or just like something crazy that one sect believes in, and then they carry that down even though it's not written in the religious context.
Yeah.
So like I could see how some of this would be inaccurate, and because these are fanatics who believe the inaccuracies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it still did a really well comparison from Jesus as a whole in Christianity and other religious sects in comparison. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I thought that was done well too. Also, the author, apparently that's what she studied.
Yeah.
And you can tell because she really kind of fleshes out these theories and all of these things. But I also agree. I thought that was very interesting. And I like the tie-in to think that there's this, like the idea that the cousin was bringing up, that there is every millennia or so, or century or so, there's another sort of somebody who's like a Jesus that is the connection between the divine and the humans, and that person is there to sort of like regather people. And that happens again every millennia. That's why we have the virgin birth and then the resurrection 3 days later and all that same stuff. So I agree. I thought that was really good. I will say one thing that I really liked. I loved the foreshadowing of Rebecca's character, because for a while she's just sort of this girl who is pregnant, and it's sort of this like, oh, she's pregnant and she's been outcast by her parents, and so she's living here in this church with us. And then Rebecca tries to save her, and then immediately when they get caught, blames her. And I thought that was such good foreshadowing for what she ends up doing, pretty much the exact same shit at the trial. So I thought that was cute.
And I'm going to be clear, to make that point, I don't think Rebecca was there to try and save her. I think Rebecca was trying to get her out of the picture.
Oh, yeah.
To get her out so Rune and her could be a happy little fucking couple.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's just as crazy as the rest of them, but they're all part of this very specific crazy cult, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's a great thought-provoking book.
It is.
We were making we had the conversation last time, like, would these be mandatory reads for, like, our daughters, or, no. This is not a mandatory read.
No.
This is for a very specific person.
Yeah.
Who likes these sort of, like, non-traditional stories that'll leave you feeling probably kind of gross.
Yeah.
So not a mandatory, but definitely, if you're into this type of story, I would say read it, because it's still good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's interesting. If you're okay with this kind of thing and read, like, if it's not gonna make you want to throw up,
or maybe if it is gonna make you throw up, just push through it. It's
okay.
Just
I did. I pushed through it. I just remember reading because I got, like I said, there's no trigger words. Crystal just like, hey, read this, and I was like, oh, I'm excited to read this. Like, if you listen to our last episode, I'm like, I can't wait to read this. I did not read the description at all. I went to work reading it in my lunch, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Everybody heard me. They're like, what are you reading now? I'm like, nothing.
I don't even want to tell you. Don't even ask.
I ended up telling one of my friends from work, and she was making fun of me because, like, a couple days later I finished the book, and she was like, how was your incest book? I was like, shut up. Shut up.
Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely one. I'm glad we covered it because it was interesting to talk about.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I wouldn't say go out there and read it. But if you've read it, you're like one of the 10 people in the world who's read this book. So maybe you'll be excited to find our discussions. Stumble upon us. Love hating this book.
Well, I mean, the next book isn't going to be any better. I mean, it's probably just, if not, maybe even worse. I don't know, depending on if you read this book, but it's called Godmother, A Secret Cinderella Retelling, or A Secret Cinderella Story, something like that. But it's by Carolyn Turgeon. So that'll be the book we do next episode. So
yeah. If you don't want to miss that, you can follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're all on most of the socials.
We'll be here at Friday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I keep saying Central Time. I don't know what time. It's on the Pacific side, guys.
Yes. At 5. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next episode. Bye.
Bye.